Hey, what's up everyone? Today I'm outside shooting 3 different arrows with different components that change the FOC, some for the better, some for the worse. And I'm going to try and show you how that change in FOC affects your penetration downrange. Let's go inside, I'll show you what the arrows are all made up of, and we can get down to shooting. Okay, so before we go outside, I'll just give you a quick look at the arrows that we're going to be shooting and explain a little bit about their components and what makes them different. So we'll go with arrow number 1, we'll call this number 1. This is what I currently hunt with. It has got feathers on the back there, razor feathers, very nice and light. And I also use the nock that comes standard with the gold tip platinum pierce. And I'll say that I use the standard nock because these are Victory VAP, essentially identical shafts apart from the coating and the spinal line that VAP puts on there, which I think is really good. But the Victory VAP nocks, the standard nocks that come with them, are actually a little bit heavier than the gold tip nocks. I think the gold tip are about 4.5 grains and the Victory are about 6.5 or 7. So I like to go with those. It makes a bit of a difference, and this is what the whole video is about. Small difference keeps adding up, makes a big difference in the end. So this is arrow number 1. It's got the light nocks and it's got the light feathers. Obviously I got the Ethics Archery inserts and my standard 125 grain point. Doesn't really matter about the inserts, weights and stuff. These are 180 grains in total. And this arrow weighs out at 593 grains with an FOC of 21.4%. So not a huge FOC, but more than what most people are shooting. This is going to be arrow number 2, and I put the standard Victory VAP nock on there, which, as I said, a little bit heavier. It's got vanes, and these are light vanes for vanes in general, but they're still a lot heavier than the feathers. And the same Ethics Archery set up on the end, 180 and 125 grains. This one weighs in heavier at 610 grains, and the FOC, because of all the stuff at the back here, is only 19.8%. So this is a little bit lower on the FOC, but it's heavier, so it might get very similar results to my hunting setup. And then arrow number 3, this is more to the lines of what I don't think the guys who hunt whitetail and stuff like that even go anywhere close to this heavy, and the FOC is, don't know what that was. FOC is probably similar to what guys use in the States. So this has got a lighted nock on the end. I don't like the lighted nocks because I'd rather have a dead animal than a nice video. And obviously the same vanes that it's got on there. I'll just talk quickly about wraps. If you end up putting on a wrap at the back of your arrow, I've seen some wraps weigh up to 13 grains. I mean, that's almost the same as another lighted nock. The lighted nock's around 20 something. I don't know why, you know, it looks fancy, but you can see your veins. And if the animal's dead, you don't need to go looking for arrows and stuff. And you know, people say you can see the blood mark on there. Well, there's plenty of stuff on the arrow. Rub your finger on it, you'll see the blood. I don't get that. So anyway, this one has got the standard gold tip sleeve and insert there. I didn't put the nock bushing on, but maybe I should, just to see what that weighs and how that changes the FOC. It'll change it even more. And these 2 little lines that I put on there, that's the FOC without a wrap, and that would be the FOC even further back with a wrap. And the whole point here is these small little amounts that might not look like much, but we're talking percentages that it changes There's only 100% in there. Eventually you're going to run out of numbers, but these small things, they do make a difference. So this arrow is 512 grains, as I said, heavier than most whitetail guys, and the F.O.C is down at 13%, and the arrow comes out a little bit longer because of the knock. The knock is a bit longer, and the insert takes up a bit more space on the arrow as well. So let's go and shoot them. Okay, so here go the shots. You may have noticed it's really windy. It's not a test of my accuracy. It's just looking at the arrows and seeing what they do. And hopefully I can get them in the same kind of spot each time, and we get some accurate results here. But I'm going to fast forward all these shots, just showing you what's happening, and we'll get down to getting the results just in a second. First thing I need to do is put on my release, right? How about I fast forward this as well? Okay, arrow number 1. So, here we go, number 1. Wow, it is windy. Righty, we are done. Alrighty, well, shots are all done. I started to see some interesting results almost straight away. We've got to go and do the maths and work it out, but I think I know what the answer is. And I've said this kind of stuff before. Sorry about the wind. It is really windy today. That was quite challenging trying to. What I did was I noticed that the target obviously a little bit softer in some places, and I wanted to rotate each arrow in this different spot each time. So I was arrow 1, 2, 3, and then the next one was 1, 2, 3, and then 1, 2, 3. I went around the target. I hope it makes sense. To give every arrow a chance in the same spot, not just putting one in a place that might have been softer than the others. Anyway, I think it all worked out nicely. As I say, I've already seen something that's quite interesting, and I just want to say something, man. The whole world's a bit of a mess at the moment. Coronavirus has stuffed up everything for everyone, but you can still get outside and go shoot your bow. How's this for social distancing, man? I don't know if you can see in the background there, tallest building in the world, Burj Khalifa. Yay to all the people stuck in there. Here I am, me and my truck, and no one else. No coronavirus here. So gonna head back home, do the maths, and catch up with you there. Ciao. So here we are, back in my little office. Did the maths like I said I would, and as I said, I'd already started to see some interesting results. And let me tell you what it is. So no surprise, my hunting arrow setup worked the best. and I hope you believe me, I don't fix these results to make it look like my setup is better than anything else. I wanted to know what the outcome would be, and so I'm not going to mess the results up. As I said, I was a little bit, not concerned, but interested halfway through, because I noticed that arrow number 2, which was the heaviest of the bunch, but with a slightly lower F.O.C than my hunting setup, was actually performing pretty well, and I thought, oh, it might actually beat my setup. Turns out it didn't. Not by a lot, but when you compare all three of them, my setup worked out well compared to the others. So what I did, I took the best penetration and the worst penetration from each arrow and removed them, just for any inconsistencies, to try and get it more accurate. Turns out it didn't really make much of a difference. So here are the results. My setup, arrow number 1, that was the 593 grain arrow with 21.4% F.O.C. That had an average penetration of 47.8. The next one was the heaviest arrow, 610 grains. F.O.C is less than 20%, 19.8, and that had an average penetration of 43.8. That's 4 centimeters less penetration average over the whole thing. And in the worst F.O.C at 13%, 512 grains, was 41.7. So you can see there's a consistent change. And as I said, what I found interesting, I thought the 610 grain was, while I was measuring and pulling out, I wasn't adding up. But while I was looking at it, I thought, man, this one's actually performing pretty well. So my point is 610 grains as opposed to 593. It's not considerably heavier, but it's heavier. It should penetrate better if it's heavier. That's physics for you. The F.O.C is what made the difference, and not much. A difference of 21.35 and 19.8. That tiny little percentage of F.O.C made a considerable difference on the penetration. So that was, I'm glad I did this test. That was my whole point, for me to see if changing vanes to feathers and switching to a lighter nock. It's not an expensive thing, but it's a couple of grains lighter and at the absolute worst place for something heavy. No wraps, and I have this heavy setup up front. There's certainly guys who shoot heavier than me. I am considering going to heavier broadheads, but don't let the ranch fairy hear it. I do like to use mechanicals for different things. I do not use mechanicals on big heavy stuff, but I have shot animals up to elands with mechanicals, giraffe obviously with a fixed blade. So anyway, for the normal day-to-day hunting, I like the choice of shooting a fixed blade or a mechanical, and a 125 grain is about the only mechanical, or the heaviest mechanical you can get. So I'm kind of limiting myself to that. I might change, but there you go. All those little things, a few grains here and there, make a huge difference. And well, I say it's not a huge difference. It's a small difference on paper, but I don't see how you can make any bigger differences with anything else. So that's it from me. I hope you found this interesting, and everyone's sitting at home with this COVID stuff. So if you got some questions, something you want to clarify, or something you want me to go and test, drop me a message and I'll see what I can do. Until then, have a good day.